So, Grace, I'd like to frame today's conversation around something I heard you mention your grandmother would tell you that shaped your life view. This is the quote: believe beyond your limits, which I felt from researching you guides your life story. And I'm curious, what do you think your grandmother meant when she said that to you? And do you think that she saw something special within you? Oops.
Michelle, this is so amazing to be here to share with you with like-minded women. And my grandmother was a unique woman in the universe. She's gone since 2001, but what a remarkable life. She and my granddad had nine biological children in a country, a very small country, Guyana, South America. But in spite of their limited resources, they found room in their hearts to adopt five young sisters that lost their moms. So this amazing woman raised 14 children.
Wow.
As a result, I am one of 52 grandchildren. So it was a village, 52. And as we are here in this small circle, I can assure you that I was her favorite. See, I knew I was her favorite because she would hold my hands, look in my eyes, and say to me, Grace, you have lengthened my years and you have blessed my eyesight.
Yeah.
And those words were made me feel so special, so valuable, so loved as a child growing up. They nurtured me. But I can tell you that her most treasured words to me were believe beyond your limits. You see, my grandmother believed that you could never and should never plan your future goals based on your current circumstances. She
Mm.
felt that your current circumstances, as you look around, have inherent limitation in them. That if you actually believe them, if you actually have it absorb you and have you become your identity linked to your current circumstances, you are seriously limiting yourself from the vast potential of unlimited growth and unlimited value and treasures that are all within you.
Wow. So powerful and so beautiful. What a gift to have such an amazing grandma in your life.
Thank you.
I mean, truly, that's such a gift.
It is.
And your story is it's going to be a gift to the women today to understand what you've overcome and those words, how they would carry you. So you are the author of the internationally best-selling book, Homeless to Millionaire: Six Keys to Uplift Your Financial Abundance, which we'll talk about. But the fact that you've achieved such greatness, I know that you in your work you've done over $20 billion in transactions. I'm so curious about so many aspects, and you've worked on Wall Street and went out on your own, and you're just such a powerhouse. But you did experience homelessness when you were younger. So I think it's be helpful for my audience to understand more about your story. Like you moved here obviously to the States. They tell us how old were you and then what happened? How did you and your family end up homeless here?
Sure. So I was 14 when my parents, mom, dad, and seven children, I am second oldest of seven, all nine of us uplifted and moved and immigrated from Guyana to New York City. And
Mm.
it was, yes, it was a shock. I think one of the fortunate things for us looking back is that we came in the first week of June. I was so summer was a similar weather than to what I left, and then I started high school, and that began my immersion not only into New York City school system but adjusting to New York. Clearly, my parents came here for the American dream. They came here for more opportunities for not only themselves, but for seven young children that they had in tow,
Yes.
me being one of them. And life was moving along. My mom, who was a housewife, took the GD, went to college, and just upwardly mobile family. And from high school, I enrolled in Pace University in New York City in accounting, and just moving along, right? And on the 5 years, and it's amazing how life works. 5 years to the date that we entered New York, also on a beautiful June day, I was taking summer classes, and around 4, came home from school, and we lived on Saratoga Avenue, taking the train to Utica. Came off the train station. We're about 4 blocks. Our apartment is 4 blocks from the train. And as I turned the street, there before me were fire trucks and all kinds of sirens going on. And I saw the smoke. It didn't occur to me until I was right in front of my
Mm.
brownstone apartment that the smoke was actually coming from where I live.
Oh, wow.
And what I saw, life slows down when you have a shock. It's just like life goes in slow motion. I saw my mom standing with some of my siblings right outside the brownstone apartment. And I went up to her and said, "What happened? What happened?" And she was so calm. She said, "Can't you see? We had a fire." She then
Mm.
explained to me that she was talking to my siblings about their report cards, and one child came out of a room and said, "Mom, there's a fire coming out of the electrical socket." And she said she told another child call 911, and in the time it took her to get everyone else in arm, she said the apartment was flaming.
Oh,
You know, the
wow.
she said in that quick second, and that's how that all occurred. What began as a normal day just it just seemed to be like a nightmare unfolding before me, because everyone who came to give my parents advice, because slowly and surely everyone was coming home, and family and friends heard. The Red Cross came, Salvation Army, the police that interviewed my parents, and they all said, "Look, you're a family of 9. Why don't you go your separate ways? By
Oh,
maybe
God.
go in twos and threes, the family and friends, and when you get yourself together, come back." And my late dad was standing there, and he said, "There is no way." He reminded us that the saddest day of his life was when he was 8 years old and he became orphaned, and his family separated him from his two brothers.
Oh,
And
God.
he said, "There is no way that we are going to be separated." And the only way we could remain as a family together was a New York City homeless shelter. So I remember it so vividly. Michele,
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
am
like crying. Really? Grace. Oh my God,
so
please.
sorry. I
Please
said
don't.
it's,
I'm crying. I'm sorry. I'm probably triggering you. My heart just,
yeah, and my mom.
it's too much. That's too much.
She asked me, she said, "Oh, could you go back?" Because we knew we were going to a shelter. We had decided. And she asked me to go back to the apartment to see what I can salvage. And this is where I got the shock of my life. I had a garbage bag, a 13-gallon trash bag, and I in my mind envisioned that I would be coming up with that garbage bag full. And when I went in and I started looking in the closets, and I looked, what was not destroyed by smoke was destroyed by water, was
Oh,
destroyed by fire. So the shocking thing was how precious little I can gather. A few pictures, a few certificates, very little. And that day ended with me, my parents, me hanging on to the trash bag in one hand, and my siblings in the other, walking into New York City homeless shelter. We thought that shelter would be maybe a week, maybe two. It ended up being 7.5 months, almost 8 months. We stayed in that shelter before my parents could manage to um, uh, purchase a home and get us out of there. But I completed my undergraduate degree. Um, Part of the completion was going back and forth to a homeless shelter. And Michele, it goes back to the statement you opened up with: believe beyond your limits. What keeps you going when your circumstances are so dismal? When you look around and you see despair, distress, poverty, hopelessness, what keeps you moving forward to say, look, I have beyond my circumstances a potential, plans, dreams, visions, goals that I can pursue much beyond what this homeless shelter uh, will provide for me. So while we were in the shelter was never inside of us.
Oh, you're
Definitely
so
never
beautiful. What a
inside of me.
statement. Oh my God, what a statement.
Yeah.
Yes, you didn't take that in as your reality or
No,
truth. This is
actually,
yes, please,
this
your
is a
words.
stepping stone. This was not our tombstone. It's a stepping stone. This cannot be, this is not our permanent residence. I walked in that shelter and nothing in that shelter resonated with me.
Yes.
None of what we saw. And I have to tell you, we talk about women. How do we not only uplift our financial lives, but leave a legacy to the next generation? And we all have senses or intuition. And for me, one of the senses that are very heightened, you can see it's not my eyes or sight because I wear glasses so much, but it's my smell. And I have to tell you, poverty has a scent. There's a
Ah,
smell. If you walk into a homeless shelter, if you walk into poverty, I've been in Soweto in the slums. I've been into the favelas in Brazil, in where the very desolate live. I can close my eyes. The smell is the same. It's poverty has a smell. It has a mindset, but it also has a smell. And nothing in that resonated with me thanks to the mindset that my grandmother had just given me and embedded in me and had just left a legacy for me to know there's so much beyond life for me.
oh my God. What it's just an unbelievable story. And it sounds like your parents as well made that important choice, which also impacted the trajectory where you could stay together and have that loving. Because I've heard you on another interview too. You have a very loving container family and strength from your parents too, right, Grace?
Yes, yes, I did. I did. And my mom, the women, I have to tell you, I'm lucky and fortunate to have two loving parents. But when I think of the people in my life, it's the women, right? It's I come from a long line of regal, strong women. And sometimes we're not even born strong, but our circumstances just call within us a sense of resilience and grit that make us stand tall and do what we need to do to better ourselves and our families.
Yeah. So where did you go next? So you obviously got out, went finished school. Tell us more about your
So
professional
yes,
journey. Yes.
sure. So I remarkably finished school on time.
Amazing.
Immediately right out of school, got a job at EY, which is an auditing firm. Did auditing. I did that for almost 6 years when I decided to get an MBA in finance from the Wharton Business School.
Yes.
And so I went to that top school, and from there went directly to Wall Street. And that's where I started my career advising financial services and mergers and acquisitions and capital raisings. However, life has a way of just supporting us and resonating within us what the purpose of our life is. Because right now in my life and on Wall Street, I advise insurance companies. I advise insurance companies to build their brands, to acquire companies to become larger, more efficient, offering more services. And I tell all my insurance clients that I'm not just a typical Wall Street banker. I am a fierce advocate for financial wellness and financial security because I know what it's like to be on the other side of Main Street, where had my parents had financial security, had they haven't had insurance, that homeless shelter could have been a brand new apartment. And so that has resonated with me. And I come to work with a mission, a vision, and a passion that when I say I would like to see 1 billion more people insured, I would like to see 1 billion more people insured. And it's not only me writing a book on financial empowerment to Main Street, but it's also me talking to Wall Street and advising them on what they can do in terms of innovation, in terms of reaching the masses and making their products more available and accessible to everyone.
It's so beautiful because I do feel like our life circumstances allow our path to unfold, and even the hardship was literally the gift that allows you to do the work you were divinely meant to do. um, so I just think it's
Absolutely.
so beautiful, and I think there's a lot of women sitting with the sense of like, what's next, whether they've been in a corporate career and just they feeling a calling for something else, or they stayed at home and they want more for themselves. Like, talk to us about how we can take some of your mindset and life view to because we should be focusing on wealth building. let's
Yes,
let's so how do we kind of get aligned with that purpose, but also make money
absolutely.
and,
So,
and gain wealth? It's not about making money, it's about wealth generation, isn't it?
sure, sure. So, one of the other aspects of my life is that I'm a mountain climber and I've climbed
Yes.
over 25 mountain peaks on 3 different continents. And mountain climbing, it's a miracle how, first of all, how I got involved in mountain climbing. But one of the reasons I kept doing it was because mountain climbing mirrors life more than anything I've known. And talk about uh, having a journey, planning a journey, having all the tools necessary for the journey. You're on it, but then you're disrupted at each and every step because of so many forces out of your control.
Mm.
And I always say, whether we are sitting in our office, planning our next step, or on the foot of Mount Everest, we are all climbing mountains, and the lessons are the same. So if you're a woman looking to your next chapter, and let's just all remind ourselves what being a woman entails. Being a woman entails that you're constantly on an evolutionary path. We have evolved in ways that amazes us from time to time. I am amazed at my current version of myself today because I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I looked at the 12-year-old version of me. And sometimes I have to say, look at where we've come. Look at the
Um,
mountains we have climbed. Look at what we've overcome. And it is sometimes breathtaking to see the leaps that we have overcome. And we are here, and we are here by no accident. And I think many of us sometimes we feel the need to the next step. So let's go back to mountain climbing. And I've climbed, one of the things I've learned in climbing, and when you're climbing and it's so much uncertainty around you, there's a storm, and you've got to keep going, because if you stop in a storm, your body stiffens up, you're gonna die. Okay.
Oh gosh, okay.
Many people in life, they freeze. They're like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure. I can't afford to take the risk. But if I take the risk, what do I do? And when
Wow.
you look at them, they're in paralysis analysis. They don't move forward. And many of them are walking dead. They are walking dead. I mean, their spirits have been crushed. And one of the reasons we have inspiration is expressing our spirits every day and having the courage to move forward. So here you're in a mountain and it's so uncertain, and you're not going to stop on this journey. You're not going to freeze. You're going to go ahead. And I always say the best step you can possibly make on a mountain and in life is your next step. Doesn't matter what your last step was. Doesn't matter what your ex was. It's your next that matters. It's what matters the most. And by all means, one of the phrases I learned climbing the highest peak in Africa was poli poli. And poli poli is Swahili, means step by step. But the deeper meaning is plan each step carefully, measure your step before you take it. Focus on your step. And by all means, make the step. Do it. Poli poli. And many of us have dreams embedded in us. It will take a risk. It will take that we will take the step shaky. We will take the step feeling uncertain. We'll take the step with fear. But bring the fear along, bring the shakiness along, bring all of the I can't believe I'm here along, and take the step. Your future self will thank you that you have taken that step, because you, in your intuition, your spirit knows what that step is. Just do it.
Oh my God. I love this conversation so much. You have no idea, Grace. I've been doing this 6 years, and your name is so perfect for who you are and the energy that you
Thank
give.
you.
You are grace in motion right now. Like it's just,
Thank you.
you are such a gift. Like it's just,
Oh, thank you.
no, truly. I was researching you, like I said before. You know, I had, said yes when, they had mentioned your book and everything. People write books on making money and whatever, but I got a sense of your essence. Like I saw one video, I said, "Oh, this woman is truly special. You have a gift. I know you do a lot charitably and you try to uplift other young women, girls, so that they can have a bigger vision for themselves." And I think you're right. We get stuck. So we
Yes.
don't know what to do. So we don't do
Do
anything. And then
any.
5 years goes by, and guess what? Life looks the same. You used a phrase, and I wish I could remember, but basically it's like being in a prison of your own life. Do you remember what you said?
An analysis paralysis, and also you're going to be walking like the living dead.
That's what
On
it
on
is. That's what you said. Yeah, it
Mhm.
is like you're the living dead without realizing it, because you get comfortable with a life that feels good enough, and then you
Mhm.
start telling yourself, well, why should I complain? I have this or that. But life is more than that. So speak to us. I love the idea of thinking about mountain climbing and using that as, I always confuse metaphor and an analogy. Is it an analogy or a metaphor? Either
It is,
one, whatever it
it
is.
is
You
both,
might, it's,
actually.
but
It
oh,
is
it is.
both.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's use it as both a metaphor and an analogy, but
Yes.
please say more. Okay.
So, let me, it's interesting because life is a mountain. We're all faced with what seems to be insurmountable and what seems to be impossible, right? We're all faced with that. And one of the reasons why it is so effective when a woman shares her story is because every time we share our story, especially with me overcoming homelessness, there's a part of me that I heal. And I know
Oh,
every time, not only do I heal myself, but there's so many others that are facing situations that are similar, that they're helped by that. because it's so powerful. So one of the most powerful things women can do is find their voice. When you find your voice, you shake generations. I noticed for a fact when I was very, very young in my career, I started on Wall Street. I was working in a fraternity. You name it. It was certainly not for they were not used to working with someone who looks like me.
Yes.
Okay. And many times we look at that kind of situation and we become intimidated. But I have to tell you, I have learned over the years that what I carry in a room is so powerful that I cannot afford to be intimidated. As a matter of fact, I use the fear to fuel my insights that I have to share in a room. Because women, when we walk in a room, especially a room filled with men, even before we speak, as soon as we walk into the room, you may not be conscious of it, but you have changed the atmosphere of that room. And when you open your mouth to speak and you share the gifts, the insights, and the treasures that are within you, you really make an impact. So I was on a Sunday morning, I was listening to the show, getting back to what I started to say about my early in my career. And they had Madame Albright on Sunday morning show. And the interviewer asked her, Madame Albright, how do you make your voice heard? You're in a room with all these men, many of them pillars in their countries. How do you make your voice heard at the table? And Madame Albright said one word, and she said, interrupt. She said, interrupt. Don't wait for them to call you. Interrupt. And I'm telling you, women, we cannot afford to wait on life any longer. And
I love this. Oh my God.
been in several boardrooms all over the world, all over the world. I've been in boardrooms in Russia. I've been in boardrooms in Brazil. I've been in boardrooms in Nigeria. I've been in boardrooms all over Europe and of course in the United States. I'm going to tell you something. When men speak, they interrupt each other all the time. It is so much easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So do not wait, do not wait, do not wait, do not wait. Life is moving too fast and you have too much within you. It is time to act. It is time to move. So I have to tell you, yes, I interrupt because we are here to make an impact. And part of making an impact in this world is being a disruptor. And by nature, we are the powerful women. Powerful individuals are by nature disruptors. And yes, make an impact.
Oh my God. I want you to have your own podcast where just every morning you do literally like just 3 minutes of inspiration and you say, go women, go. Like you just become the fuel. Oh my goodness. This is so good. Okay. So I was thinking about how you said, take that step, the poly, like getting
Yes.
movement. Now we know that sometimes we move and we can feel maybe it's not the right way. So how did you discern, like, yes, when you're taking the action, if you're on path or if you've kind of detoured for some reason?
Oh, Michele, that's an excellent question because we are going to take steps where we're like, oh, this wasn't quite the right steps. Because after all, we're learning, we're evolving, we're making decisions based on the best information in front of us and available at the time. But a second later, that information changes. So please learn the power of pivot. We have to learn to pivot. Okay. Keep pivoting. And a pivot doesn't necessarily mean a U-turn. It may not even be a 90-degree turn. It may be just a pivot, a 10-degree turn. It may be, and life is a series of pivots. Okay. We are, and we can look back at our lives. We enrolled into college, but it wasn't the right major for us. Or we had the right major, but we had a series of professors that were just not relating to us. So then we had to pivot. And so the way we evolved and the way we become our best version of ourselves is that we embrace that pivot. Okay, we
Mm.
embrace it because we know that tomorrow when we wake up and new information is before us and brand new possibilities are before us, we are going to pivot in order to uh, capture those opportunities in front of us.
Okay. There's like two ways that I wanted to take this. So I'm going to say them both so I don't forget. One is you were in a male dominated field. And so I'm curious who you might have had around you, if at all, any mentors. Do you believe that you need to be like things start flowing? And so I believe in God or higher power or source, or like life starts showing you that you are on path. Like, do you think that that's how you know? How do you discern when to
Okay.
pivot, or if you are on path, or maybe you're just needing to put in the more effort and time? Like, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, my husband's an entrepreneur, my dad was an entrepreneur. Like, I've just been around that kind of energy, but it's hard sometimes when you're like in it every day to discern, because you're the one who's in it, and sometimes it's very lonely.
Sure. Let me tell you, one of the things I know is that my journey has been very lonely, and I'm sure I'm speaking to women who feel lonely. And feeling lonely could be a wake up call to remind you that you are a pioneer in your journey. You may be the first woman in your family to ever. And if I ask you the first woman in your family to ever, you'll probably list 10 things that you're the first, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneurial journey is embarking on the unknown, taking the risks, seizing opportunities, going where no man have gone before. So yes, you're going to feel lonely at times.
Yeah.
So what do I think? In this journey, I do think we are more spiritual than physical. We're housed into a physical body, but we are very spiritual. And I do think that one of the gifts of being a woman is the intuition that we have, like, something doesn't feel right. I'm sensing this. And sometimes we say it and everyone dismisses us. And we
Yes.
can look back at situations after situations where we were correct. So, yes, I feel that I get up every day. I know that there is divine that has a purpose and a vision for me. I'm walking in my purpose. I just want to make sure that every day that I say the things, I do the things, and I go to places that fulfills that divine destiny on my life. So I firmly believe in that. And so there are times when I feel like I'm not where I should be. And that's where the pivoting, comes in.
Yeah.
And secondly, I want to address the question about mentors. Yes, I had mentors, and some of them I sought out, some of them sought me out.
Yes.
But we're not an island, and collaboration and really having, I think one of the keys for women is, please, if you're listening to in the sound of my voice, please have a personal board of directors around you. You are the CEO of your own life. And we all need a personal board of directors. And what I mean by that, in the boardroom, it's a closed environment, Chatham House rules. It is confidential. You share your strategic visions. You share the good, bad, and the ugly. You rely on board members to tell you, look, you should be doing X, Y, and Z, or rely on them to open doors for you. It's a relationship building of a trusted bond you have with a tiny circle, not a big, a very tiny circle of people. Every woman who is successful in an entrepreneurial journey, you need a personal board of directors.
Okay. And are those women you hire, or are these people you cultivate? Because in my experience so far, I've had to seek that out through like coaching mentorship, where I'm paying for that sort of, but I don't have that room, and I would love that room. So, and I'm sure women
So,
who are listening would love that room. So how do we cultivate that? Like, what would that look
okay,
like? How many,
so
yeah, what
okay,
should be
so
people be
don't
bringing to the table? Yeah.
so don't think of the room as being the formal space that you have where people meet.
Yeah, physical. Yeah, I didn't mean that. Yeah,
Yes,
it can be virtual, right?
yes. Yes.
Yes.
And I also think of it as you know of people who've always pushed you, admired you, say, hey, if you need help, just give me a call. Relationships that you've built over the years. Those
Yes.
are the people you call up and say, do you have some time if we can meet on a quarterly basis? I'd love to review with you where I am. And that person has a certain expertise. It may be an expertise in the markets you're going into, an expertise in building a company and building a brand. That person that you admire, have that person be, in your board as a board
Yes.
advisor.
Okay.
Let me tell you who's my just as an
Please.
example of
I
my
would
board
love
of
that.
advisor.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I have a life coach. Okay, and it's a formal paying a relationship that
Yeah.
I have with a life coach. We meet every single month. Okay,
Yeah.
I have a spiritual advisor. Okay, and he is amazing, retired Episcopal minister, and he advises me, hey Grace, this is what you need to be. And by the way, I'm recently married. I would not have been married so quickly if my life coach hadn't said to me, hey, now, Grace, didn't you just mention how amazing XYZ is? And didn't he ask you out 2 months ago? And you are so nervous to reply. You owe him an answer.
Oh, wow.
That life coach really pushed me. This is the same life coach when I built a visionary board 5 years ago. Uh, Said to me, you need another board on just relationships.
Oh,
Why? Because
wow.
I had a terrible divorce. And then I worked so hard to build a single entrepreneurial life where I'm just living my best life and enjoying life. And so I just didn't see or allow myself space to see another dimension of a healthy relationship in my life that, thank God, my trusted advisor pushed me to say, you're going to build a visionary board with what a relationship looks like for you. And I did that.
Like a
And I have
vision
to,
board, an actual vision board. Is that what you
yes,
meant?
an actual
Yeah.
vision board, an
Yeah.
actual vision board. By
Yeah.
the way, vision boards are very powerful. What we focus on direct our mindset. What we focus on is amazing. So a vision board is super critical for all of us. So anyhow, as we speak here today, everything in that vision board as of 5 years ago have come true. Everything. I mean, everything from meeting presidents to traveling in private planes to keynote speakers to where my business. And yes, everything. I know why we have to get up and push ourselves to dream because manifestation is real. And we as women will not live the fullest life unless we are manifesting on a daily basis. I wrote one of my Facebook posts. I'm living a life of miracles, but I know I'm walking in a miracle within a miracle. And that's the way life is.
Okay. Now you have to tell. Okay. So two things. One is I'm glad you brought in the personal piece because there's a lot of women midlife, their relationships are, breaking up and people are
Mm-hmm.
afraid to put themselves back out there. It might be more comfortable. So I appreciate you sharing on that side of it as well. But let's just dive a little bit deeper in the manifestation because that's definitely something we've talked about before. I believe in it. I used to really practice it like 20 years ago. And I was just thinking, like, why did I go away from that? Why did I not do that? So I'd love to just hear what your practices look like. How specific do you do your board? Give us like a couple of examples without getting too personal. I mean, you don't need to share what.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, I look, let's look around us right now. I mean, just the headlines alone from any newspaper could cause you to faint. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, did I really read what I thought I
100%.
read?
Yeah.
Did I really see what I thought I saw?
Yeah.
It is so important for us to spend the quiet time. I mean, we have to reset on a daily basis, great time to do it is when you first wake up. Another great time is about when you're about to go to bed. But if we just need to recapture ourselves, because we're women, we're being pulled in all sides, kinds of directions. We're the last persons to say no. We're taking care of everyone. As we
Mhm.
speak now, my mom is in hospice. I'm our
Oh,
caregiver. It
yeah.
is so much going on. Okay,
Oh,
so much going on. And also too, we are at a time in life where we go to a doctor and be prepared to hear, the dreaded word of, it's the 3 Ds, the divorce, deaths, and diseases that we ourselves have to face. We're
yeah.
we're facing, things that where they say, oh, this is not curable. And I'm telling you, everything that the doctor said to me that's not curable, I shut it down. I've shut it down. I've had incurable diseases cured because of me manifesting, carefully focusing every single night, saying, I know that I came into this world to be a healthy, vibrant human being, and anything that will come to disrupt my path, I just remove it from every
Goosebumps.
imaginations. And I
Goosebumps.
know that there's more in store for me, and I do not claim this in my life. I just do not, so, um, so that is something I work through. Even in my book, when I talk about money, every chapter ended with an affirmation, because I said, look, it's time for us to create a new story. It is, think of our lives, or each aspect of our lives, as a blank sheet of paper. You hold the pen, write a new story. I cannot go into tomorrow with the same story of yesterday. It no longer serves me for today. Today brings fresh new opportunities that didn't even exist yesterday, and tomorrow as well. I have to constantly keep turning the page, writing, holding the pen in my hand, and determined. I have to be determined to be a generational cycle breaker. That if I'm going to be the first person in my family planning for 3 generations, which is 100 years from now, let me be it, because I'm going to hold that mantle high and do it.
I'm just like, I just want to sit and receive. It's so amazing. Like everything you're saying is resonating so deeply. And I think also, I know that fear can make us, it's almost easier to settle into the fear because it's not that we want to be victims of our lives, but when you have to look at it, you also have to do the work. And then you have to choose the faith over fear. So I just want to make sure I'm
Yes,
hearing you. You have a practice
yes,
of mindset. So you don't allow, so if the negative voices that we never get rid of them, but
no.
you just what, rewrite them and stop them? Like,
We rewrite them. We rewrite them. Okay. Remember, okay, I say this all the time. And if you forget everything I say today, remember this. I say to my nieces and nephews that I have climbed over 100,000 feet, which is the Empire State Building stack upon itself 67 times.
oh my
I have
God.
climbed on the 25 mountain peaks in 3 different continents, but the longest, hardest, toughest journey I've ever climbed is the 18 inches between my heart and my head. Okay. My head says, no way. But my heart says, I know you can do it. This is a dream you've always had. Listen to your heart. Listen to what your heart is telling you. Your heart is pulling you towards your dreams. Your head is saying, oh, no way. Okay. Bring those voices along with you, because sometimes they help you balance the
Gosh.
risk. But I'm going to tell you something, it's your heart that I
Yes.
think you need to listen to.
Here's the thing, Grace. I could literally talk to you all day. You are so strong, so wise. I, I, I feel like there's so many things I want to ask, but you shared so many important things that I almost feel like it will like. But that being said, I feel like I want the women to sit with this energy. Like that's what I'm feeling now. And I know podcasts are mostly auditory experience. It's like
Mhm.
they're going to feel like they're sitting in the room with us. They're going to be feeling the beauty of your soul. I also believe that we do heal the generational string. So from the past to the future, we are the light and between. And so
Yes.
as you do that work, it's going back and saying, I've got you, I love you. Like I'm raising that for where we came, and thank you, because we're standing on the shoulders of those who came
Yes.
before us, and we're setting the foundation for the future. So like
Yes.
you are so powerfully living that and breathing that. But I do want to ask, because like I said, I could ask so many things, but is there anything, because of the work that you do, or anything that you want to impart to my audience in particular that I didn't ask or that you want to share today?
Sure. I wanted to tell your audience that I have prepared a masterclass of not only financial empowerment, but personal empowerment, because our net worth will never exceed our self worth. And I think as women, there's some unique things happening to us along the journey, especially in middle school, that can kill our self worth, that many women don't recover, never recover from it.
True.
And we are women determined that we are of age where we're going to claim our divinely purpose destiny, to
Yes.
find our voices, claim it, walk in it, and not leave any crumbs on the table when it comes to the gift of life. So what I did was, because I know these podcasts are short in nature, I have created six lessons along the way where I hold your hands, and it's from the sixth chapter of my book, and it's you can find it in www.masterclass.com. www.masterclass.com.
Wait, WWA,
Yes,
like Apple, just so we
like
get it,
Apple
masterclass.com.
Masterclass dot com. Yes,
Okay, so WW like William Apple.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
because I now list this in the show notes, which literally is on somebody's podcast player, so they're going to be able to link directly to it. I for sure am signing up for this, and then obviously they need to go get your book as well. You are definitely, it's interesting that you've chosen to do this, because as I'm sitting with you, I'm like, I feel like part of your path is also so much of this, because you've lived it, you've shown you can create whatever success you want. You're going to manifest whatever you want. But so many women, and your path is about lifting up the others who don't have that, or need a little, sometimes we need to lean on others' strengths, which is why I think your idea of the board of directors is so critical. So, you're incredible. Like I said, I'm like, I want you to come back on. So just know that if you ever just want to come back on, I mean, there could be like a part two. I mean, you sail, your role of, helping others. Like there's so many components, but I would encourage every woman listening to go to the www.masterclass.com, because I know you're going to want more of Grace. I want more of Grace now. And what other social handles? Anything else that you want to have listed?
Sure. Grace Vandecruze, at Grace Vandecruze, for both Facebook, for Instagram, for LinkedIn. I just want to stay connected to you. I do think that, like, we're all climbing mountains, and we are all roped in together. There's an invisible thread linking women together, a sisterhood that's super powerful, and I think it's going to become even more powerful in the age of AI and abundance.
I've been feeling that. I've been feeling that so much. I'm like, women need to get up to speed with what's going on. And we need like our nurturing motherhood sort of, not, that sort of like Mother Earth energy. I don't know. You're
Absolutely.
shaking your head. You know what I'm
The
saying?
the feminine
The
energy right
feminine.
now is going to emerge as the most powerful energy in this world. I think if this world is to capture any essence of healing, that is going to be the source.
I,
And
please.
and we are all part of it. We all participate in that healing.
Yeah, this is such an invitation to rise up into that. Grace, this has been such a gift. So I know my audience is going to feel that. They're going to be like, thank you, Michele, for bringing her on. She's incredible. I've done over 300 interviews. Every once in a while, there's a special soul like you that comes on, and the light that you carry is so much writer. Not that I love every guest that's come on, but there's something within you. There's a divine calling that you are surely opened to and answered. And I think the invitations to all of us, we have that light. We have that opportunity to also answer the call, whatever that looks like for our lives. So thank you for being here today. You're such a joy, truly.
And thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. And I bless the ties that bind us and the sisterhood that we form each and every day.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Grace.
You're welcome. All the best.